Why, hello there, fine fellows. Today on the Anime Talk, we talk about the great art. Let us look to our left here, and let us look to our right, and we can see what the captivating art actually tells its story. Yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that voice right now, I promise you. So, what was I getting at with that voice though? Because the one thing about the anime talk I always try to do is have a little kind of catchy, beginning intro, which sometimes falls into fears because I think some people don't understand it if you're not from this time period or grew up in my time period where they did stuff like that. If you guys remember especially anyone that's around the age of 20 plus, if you guys remember the old TV documentaries that you had to probably watch in school or watch on, maybe your parents were watching and you didn't like them at the time, where they have the art like critiques that go up and they show paintings and they go, oh, look at this fine piece that was drawn by so and you can see how lavish he made the art style and the swift, it's almost a joke that I think art's taken to that form. But today on the Anime Talk, what we're actually really talking about is what art does for anime, and I think it's gonna broaden into a little bit more of just saying just that essentially. What I want to get at with this is some things about art that really influence the kind of concepts of anime and influence the viewership. So, let's start off by showing what this is. What image right now you see on the wallpaper is XXX Holic, which, most people I know that don't watch this show, they don't watch it not because they don't like it or they won't try to watch it. They see the art, they see the long arms, the long lanky bodies, and they go, oh, well, I don't know if I like that type of art. You know, Back in high school, I had a friend. I'm not going to tell him. He probably would, if he watched the show, he would actually know who he is. But he used to be very artistic when it came to a lot of things, and he still kind of is. He's really into art. But you know, he used to be really hell bent on watching certain anime, and it was specifically he would look at the art and animation, which to me go hand in hand. You can't have good art and bad animation. It kind of throws them apart. But at the same time, though, does that influence you in watching the show? Because, for example, he wouldn't watch the show because he said, "Oh, the characters have too long limbs. They look weird. They look kind of odd." Equally, I've had people say "Fooly Cooly." They won't watch FLCL because they think it's weird looking. It's kind of all over the place and stuff like that. And that's a shame because those are great shows, just to name a few. I have other stuff I'm gonna name too in the course of this episode, but those shows are awesome. Half the fun of them is looking at the crazy, unique art and going, wow, there's something different from the usual tropes of spiky hair, everything, and this way of done hair, and the typical high school uniform, and the typical way of characters looking. Because I mean, I hate to say it, as much as I love anime, you get so used to the kind of concepts of characters looking like one another. You can name 15 different harems and you can go who's who because honest to God, if you were to put them on an image and just have the image, I'm not saying the background. You can't have any of the backgrounds. You can't have what the characters are with other characters. You can't do that. If you were just put the anime pictures of just them onto a screen and ask people, if they've had actually watched that show, but tell them what character is this from, and I guarantee you, every maybe handful of characters, they'd be like, "Oh, isn't he from so and so? And that guy's from so and so," mixing them completely because they just look similar. It's unavoidable, and that's why I like sometimes the crazy wonky art, like stuff like Gurren Lagann or XX Holic, because they have such unique and different art. I think people see like Sword Art Online and they see Attack on Titan, and they see that animation and go, "Oh my God, the animation's beautiful. I'm gonna watch the show just because of that." And that's not a correct way of thinking either. But you have to give a chance to these shows that don't look per se like the ones you want to watch, because I think if you get spoiled to how you think you see anime, it ruins the experience of what you watch. To me, half the fun of watching anime is seeing something different, seeing unique art styles, unique stories, unique characters, and too often you can name series that just look like one another. They're forgettable. You forget them, 10 days later. It's like, what did I watch last week? What did I finish last week? Or last month? I can't remember. But stuff like Gurren Lagann or Fooly Cooly or XX Colic, if you watch it, you go, hey, 10 years later, oh, I remember Gurren Lagann. I remember that one episode where Shion is fighting the mech, and the first time they make the Gurren, and they actually take one, the head of another robot and slam it out to the other one, and the way the art looked, it was goofy. You remember that. You remember Fooly Cooly the first time Naoto, something came out of his head because she ripped out, Haruka ripped out something from his head. You remember that. Evangelion, you also remember the crazy stuff like Asuka throwing a spear into an angel and the angel like exploding into a million pieces. It's because of that kind of visceral and just kind of crazy art style that you remember the show and you remember what you're looking at. Too often, anime is like just hell bent on just looking like one another, clones of one another. Now, what I talked about earlier too is that's the kind of beginning part of what I'm talking about. You know, the beginning part of the anime talk today. But what I really want to get at is it fair to base your watching of an anime just solely on the art? Now, like I said, you know, art. Many people in the anime world will tell you it doesn't matter if you're an anime fan or a new person in anime. Will tell you that really what hooks you is the art style. That is the. I think that's for everyone the same kind of concept. For me, I want to say a mixture of both. I look at the art style of something and be like, huh, it looks interesting. Okay. Then I read the story a little bit. Like I read not the whole thing. I just read a little bit of the synopsis and go, huh, that sounds unique. I want to try it out. But even some things like Exocolor, when I first saw this, I'm like, yeah, okay, the characters look weird. You know, you look at the main characters right there. They don't look Watanari especially. He's very lanky. He's weird looked. His head looks weird. You know, their proportions are all over the place. But that doesn't mean the show is bad. The show is amazing. Exocolor is one of my favorite shows for the reason that it's just something so different. So it's got such a great story. It's got great episodes. You know, the musical score is awesome. The voice acting is phenomenal. Also, both English and Japanese dub. You know, you can't get wrong. You can't go really wrong with this show. And Clamp, I think in general, always has kind of unique art styles to what they do. So it's never, you know, there might be similarities between their arts, but they never really always do the same art everything. Now, you know, what's funny about art though is that I've also met people that will refuse to watch something because of that. It's like, wow, you know, come on, dude, you can't refuse to watch a show just because of art. It's the same concept as judging a book by its cover. You know, if you did that, if you went to your favorite bookstore and you looked and you picked up a book and go, huh, this is just text. I'm gonna put it right back. Oh, whoa, look at this thing. It's got a giant sea monster that's fighting another sea monster. That looks amazing. I'm gonna pick that up. That doesn't tell you anything. That tells you that okay, one's about the sea and one's maybe about like I don't know, more so a literature concept. But you know, at the end of the day, which one's better? It doesn't always mean that sea monster epic is going to be that epic. It's going to be something that's boring or you know kind of distasteful. And then you might have the one that was just words being such a extravagant ride of reading that you're like, wow. I gotta tell my friends to read this. This is amazing. This is the best book I've ever read. If you're new to books, you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep reading books like this. You know, you have to do that. You have to once in a while get out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to talk about something very similar in another anime talk, which is going to be about more so like the hype of anime, you know, watching anime because you're hyped on hearing someone talk about it. And I'm also going to talk about pushing anime on people because I think that all of those should go into a sequence of another. So this is kind of like part one of part three, but it's not really. It's its own thing. But I want to say it has multiple parts that I'm going to reference and segue into later on. But what I say is that you know, if you're gonna watch an anime series and you're looking to look for something new, go that extra mile and look for something new. Don't look for your typical, oh, it's another harem. I'm gonna watch that because I've watched a million harems. Oh, it's another mech show. I'm gonna watch this because I'm only used to mech. Go out of your way. Go watch something that's a romance story. Go watch something. Just go out of your way. Don't judge the art style and say, oh, because the art looks like this, I'm not gonna watch it. Because guess what? If that was the case, you would have shows like Gurren Lagann being not as famous because, honest truth, most people that watch Gurren didn't watch it because it was just mechs. They watched it because they heard the hype of it and they got into that, which is, by the way, the segue I'm talking about because we're going to talk about hype in the next part. You know, that is the concept though, is that they watched it because it was so hyped up, more so than watched it because of the art. There was very few people I talked to that would go, hey, why'd you watch Gurren Lagann? I've asked people this too. I've asked them specifically why you watched Gurren Lagann. And 90% of the time, I hate to tell you guys this, at least from my case, I'm not saying this is the same for everyone else, but in my case, most people watched it because everyone else hyped it. I watched it not because everyone hyped it. I actually watched it because I thought the art was different. I wanted something at the time different, and it reminded me a little bit of Fooly Cooly because, well, lo and behold, they're done by the same company. But I wanted something that was slightly different from my usual thing because I think at the time I was watching I can't actually get honest with you. I'm trying to go back into what I was watching back then. I was watching some romance show back then. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a good thing about the show, but it was also bad because it would look the same as everything else. And I was like, I want something that looks vibrant and different. And I let myself take me to that point of where you just look up random shows. And at the time, Gurren Lagann was not that famous yet. It was just starting. People were like getting into it, but they weren't getting the hype yet into it. And I was there for the beginning of it. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Oh my god, this is something great. So that's what I want to tell you guys. I want to end today's part of this kind of discussion base. Which, wow, that's a really loud truck. I'm sorry if any guys heard that, because that was really loud truck. Thank you, truck, for ruining my exit and ruining my train of thought. No, but I want to tell you guys that, you know what, really, just maybe tomorrow or the next day when you start a new anime series, instead of going the safe route with, oh, this show looks like something similar to what I would like, take a risk. Take a risk, watch a few episodes. You might find that, guess what? You found a new series to love. It happens. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's anime talk. As always, I'll talk to you guys later. Check my Twitter, check my Mal account, I don't know, the various social medias that I should be part of, but only Twitter and my anime list is something new that I've done, which is, I think I talked about last week, but I think my Twitter has not changed recently, so it probably looks the same. But anyways, guys, have a great week. I will talk to you again on Friday, right? If this should come out, yeah. If not Friday, it'll be Monday, but I don't know. That's why I don't put numbers on, like, I don't actually say in the beginning, if you noticed, I don't put the actual episode number anymore, because I was putting these things out of order. And I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore. If I do that out of order, it screws up everything. So have a good week or weekend, whatever. Doesn't matter. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.